Oh, yeah. Five-star. LSU. I said, they ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU, huh? They ain't ready for the LSU. No, they ain't ready for the LSU. We the best in the league if you looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up, hey. 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 Way down in the back.
T.A. We are live. Welcome to the Tigers Avenue Show, Tuesday edition. Thrilled to be back in here. Thrilled to talk about some more fall camp conversations. Obviously, lots going on with fall camp rolling. The season is quickly approaching. There's conversations to be had, thoughts on all those things. We're going to give you a preview tonight on what we think about the DBs and the linebackers, continuing our position previews tonight with those two. And then, of course, we're going to give you a couple position battles as well, because the reality is with this team, Zach, and you probably hopefully share the same sentiment, is you've heard a lot about competition and intensity and depth. And all of those things have been a big conversation in camp so far. And you love to hear that, because when spots are not guaranteed, that pushes for competition to win those battles. And typically it brings the best out of people. So we're going to talk about a couple of those as well. So looking forward to that topic as well. Tigers had practice yesterday and today. The next 2 days they'll have practice. There will be no media availability, so not much to cover for the next few days. But obviously we'll be back here next week to cover Friday, Saturday, possibly whatever is available those days as well. But as for now, we'll talk about these last 2 days, Monday and today. Zach, speaking of football, just a little tidbit before we kind of dive in. Our church, it's always really cool every single year as fall camp is rolling. The fall camp always is rolling for high school football as well. And we always do a football, we call it a football fellowship. And we actually have a lot of football players. We have 3 schools, 3 of our local teams. Their entire football team comes, and we feed the entire team, all 3 teams and their coaching staff, is a steak dinner.
Oh, wow.
And we have them come, we serve them, and then we have a little devotional afterwards. Tonight was actually pretty cool. We had Scott Nicholson speak to them. Scott Nicholson is actually the chaplain for the Mississippi State Bulldog football team. Pretty cool guy. Gotten to know him over the last couple of years because he was involved with Bethel pretty heavily before he went to Starkville. So it was really fun, really fun. We always do that every year, and it's cool to get the football teams together. But that's what I was doing tonight right before we hopped on the show, was feeding football players steak. So maybe somebody should do that for the LSU team. You know, maybe somebody should come.
So is this Mississippi State football chaplain? Is he on the field during these football games?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe he is.
Interesting. So, maybe
he's there full time. He's with the team all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Correct.
Yeah. Maybe he can maybe get us some sideline passes to an LSU Mississippi State game,
in the future, because we're not playing them right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, in the future, maybe so. That'd be pretty awesome. Even though we'd be on the opposing team, It might be difficult to be on the opposing team sideline and
cheering for
the other team on the other sideline.
Maybe there's probably a little area they put sideline people into, not on the team sideline. So
yeah,
you know.
Either way.
Anyways, it would be cool to get on Davis Wade Field. You know what I'm saying? Watch a little ball game if we play State in the future.
That would be
anyways, I was doing that tonight. It's a lot of fun. We always do that with football teams, and it's a blast. Anyways, so y'all are here for camp conversations. Obviously, Monday, Tuesday, guys were at it. Full practice Monday. Little tidbits today. Yes, Lucas squealing in the background. Probably can hear that. It's his bedtime. He's going to bed. Anyways, so, man, the defense, Zach, from all indications, it's not like before it was like super dominant, right? And they still, I would say, the defense, from what we've been seeing in camp, are having the upper hand, but maybe the offense is finally kind of coming along a little bit. Maybe more specifically, like we've talked about in the past, the offensive line is coming along a little bit more. And it seems like the coaches are not playing with the offensive line whatsoever. Like any mistake, they're on them. They are on their tail. From what we've heard, anytime there's a false start or anything like that, they're literally yanking them to go run laps.
Yep.
Immediately. In fact, Carius Curran got hit with that on Monday. Weston Davis got hit with it today. Had a false start, yank them, hit the lap. So they're being hard on this offensive line, and I think it's called for. I mean, so far in camp, it's been tough for the offense to run the ball, and Garrett Nussmeier has also had not a lot of time in the pocket whatsoever to get passes off. So they're not playing with the offensive line. They're really
which is a concern.
Sure, and they're really cranking down on them. They really are. So yeah, because you get tested early. I mean, it's not like you get to go play Southeastern Louisiana first. You go play arguably the best defensive line you will face all year long, game one in their own stadium. So
yeah,
it's pertinent that they be on them like this. So I love to see the discipline they're trying to instill into these guys in fall camp, because I think they're seeing what everybody else is seeing. Obviously, they probably know a lot better than everybody else does. Yeah. Obviously. Anyways, but at first it felt like they could never do anything. It seems like, Zach, they're coming along right now, and they're trying to find their legs. It's not perfect by any means. It's not where it needs to be, but maybe some growth in there. Sounds like today, Zach, that the DBs really had a great day as well. Man, one name you just continue to hear, and I mentioned him last time, that was one that not a lot of people were talking about. Everybody wanted to talk about Stamps coming back. Everybody wanted to talk about Mansour Delane, Jakeem Jackson coming out of the portal, and everybody wants to talk about DJ Pickett. Everybody wants to talk about DJ Pickett, 5-star number 1 DB. Nobody was talking about PJ Woodland. And PJ Woodland, I'm telling you right now, is going to play significant time, significant plays for this team this fall. In fact, I think you're going to see him plenty in the Clemson game. In fact, he's battling for a spot. He's out there giving effort, making plays, hitting folks, breaking up passes. His name it's just one of those names in camp that keep flashing. PJ Woodland had another great day today. Mansour Delane probably had his best day today, had another good day for him. Mansour Delane, you'd think Mansour Delane, if we went today, Mansour Delane's starting. He's starting. So another good day for him. But the DB room as a whole had a pretty solid day. Zach, any tidbits that you'd like to share off the top?
Well, obviously, Joe Sloan and Blake Baker, they both had their press conferences this past week. And, as fans, we were able to get a lot of really good information out of that, right? And I think we also should mention, because obviously we haven't been on the podcast since this happened, right? But
for
in
sure.
regards to Joe Sloan's press conference before he came out, BK had to come out and address an issue, which obviously was the rumor that Garrett Nussmeier had torn an ACL. It was swirling around last week and became a big topic all over, the fan blogs and the message boards and the Twitter groups and I mean all over the place. It became a big thing, so much so that very prominent, media or in and around Baton Rouge had to address it because it becomes such a huge thing. Yeah. And of course, Wilson Alexander finally comes out and shuts everybody up. And then, Brian Kelly really didn't even necessarily have to address it, right? You already had prominent Baton Rouge media that was stating that this was not the case, that Garrett did not suffer an ACL tear, nothing major at all. So Brian Kelly gets up before Joe Sloan's press conference and lets everybody know, look, he's got tendonitis, right? Which basically, like, it's referred to as jumper's knee, which is basically just like any typical knee pain that any athlete would have. I mean, if you're an athlete, I'm sure there's tons and tons. There is tons and tons of athletes that deal with just regular joint pain because of what they are doing to their bodies physically throughout all these different sports that they're playing. So, and he's been wearing a leg sleeve. And, now whenever everybody goes out of practice, they're like, Garrett Nussmeier is fully participating, but he has a leg sleeve on, right? And, like, nobody was talking about that before all this happened. So, tweaked his, knee a little bit, was dealing with some slight, pain and discomfort in his knee. And Brian Kelly made everybody very aware that this was really no concern, nothing to worry about. Yep. So a huge rumor that started circulating last week was thankfully debunked, because I know there was a lot of LSU fans holding their breath, freaking out, losing their mind because of what was said on a message board and on Twitter and on Instagram, all these different places. Yeah.
Like the amount of people that like full blown, like just trust those kind of things. Like, stop trusting those.
Yeah.
Wait for somebody credible to
if they ain't got a check mark next to their name, don't trust it. And even if they got a check mark next to the name, they better be citing some really good sources.
Quit following stupid rumors. Just
yeah.
Wait for somebody credible to say something before freaking out.
Anyways, but Joe Sloan was able to finally, after all that, get up and give his press conference. And we heard a lot of things that were talked about during Joe Sloan's press conference, but definitely the theme was explosive plays. Obviously, that was missing from LSU's offense last year. LSU's offense was impressive last year, but without Chris Hilton, it lacked the stretch the field capability that it really needed last year. And you obviously saw that near the end of the season once Chris Hilton was finally healthy. You saw that against Oklahoma. You saw that against Baylor. You saw that against Vanderbilt a little bit. So, it's good to know that they are really heavily focusing on explosive plays because they were missing that from last year. And although the defense has had a lot of success so far in these scrimmages or on these 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, whatever you want to call it, here in fall camp, you have seen LSU produce explosive plays on offense. I mean, how many times have we heard about a Barian Brown deep ball that ends up in a touchdown? Or Caden Durham breaking off, a 20, 30, 40-yard run that ends in a touchdown. We've heard that a few times now throughout these early days here in fall camp. So, yes, the defense has for the most part, won the majority of the reps in these scrimmages and in these, in these competition drills. But the offense is still producing. And another big thing, Reagan, is we have to also remember, what this offense looked like last year. Let's take aside, and I understand this is probably like insane to say, but take aside the offensive line just for now, okay? You've got Garrett Nussmeier back. You've got Caden Durham back. You've got five-star Harlan Berry. You've got Caleb Jackson. He's in better shape now. You've got Aaron Anderson back, right? You don't have Mason Taylor, but you've got Tradez Green, Bauer Sharp, Donovan Green. You don't have, Kyron Lacey or CJ Daniels, right? But what you do have is Barian Brown, Nick Anderson, a healthy Chris Hilton, right? A 1 year better Xavier Thomas. So, it's very clear that the skill position players on this team this year is better than what you had last year, right? Whether it is another year of experience that these guys have or that you brought in players that are extremely talented and have experience as well from other schools via the transfer portal that you now have on your team, right? Yeah. Now, the biggest question is the offensive line going to be able to protect well enough to give Garrett Nussmeier the time to distribute the ball to those guys? Are they going to be able to run block well enough to be able to give Caden Durham holes to run through and have these explosive plays? That's going to be the big question. I mean, that's going to be the question all throughout fall camp. And you're kind of waiting to see if there's going to be a day where we hear a report where it's like, wow, the offensive line they won the day. They dominated. Yep. The offense got moving, right? So here's another thing, Reagan, that I think a lot of LSU fans have to consider, okay? I think you could argue that this defensive line that LSU has this year is a top 5, top 3 defensive line in the country, right? This defensive line, right? And we'll talk about that next week whenever Reagan's gone. We're going to have Blake Ruffino join the show. We're going to talk about the offensive and defensive line. But I think you could argue that this defensive line is, if not top 10, a top 5, top 3 defensive line in the country when it's all said and done. I do. Because you have talent, you have experience, you have depth, you have want to, right? You think about guys like Jack Pyburn and Jamari Butler and Patrick Payton, who are on their last year, right? This is their last year in college.
Jacoby and Guillory.
They've got it. Jacoby and Guillory, yeah. This is their last year. They got to go earn it if they want to be, if they want to do well in the NFL draft. They got to go earn it, right? And then you've got young guys that are up and coming and that are just really impressive, like Gabriel Relaford and Ahmad Bro, right? I mean, you've got young guys that are extremely talented, high ceiling guys. So there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of want to on this defensive line, right? And they're going up against an offensive line that is still learning to gel, that's still learning to work together, right? Josh Thompson didn't come until later on. He didn't come until the fall, right? Or was it spring?
He didn't come until Braylon Moore was in the spring.
Braylon Moore came in the spring. Josh Thompson, yeah, correct. Josh Thompson came in the fall time, or the summer, I should say. And so, those guys haven't been with this team, right? Tyree Adams, Weston Davis, right? They started in the bowl game, but, they weren't in practice last year running with the ones every single time. So, it's going to take time for these guys to gel. Not only that, but they're going up against a defensive line that arguably could be, when it's all said and done, one of the best defensive lines in the country, right? When you look at the stat comparison, right, everybody says Clemson's defensive line, Clemson's defensive line, Clemson's defensive line. But when you look at the stat comparison between who LSU has and who Clemson has, when you look at the starting guys, right, the stats kind of line up. But then after that, Clemson, there's a drop off. After your starting guys for the LSU defensive line, there's not really a drop off at all. It's kind of 1A, 1B. So this offensive line is getting worked right now because it's going up against a really good defensive line, Reagan. It's going up in what I think will end up being what we call a great offensive line, or excuse me, a great defensive line.
Yep.
So, and as you said, Reagan, competition brings out the best players, right? And what you want is your best players to perform against the highest competition. And right now, these offensive linemen, they're going up against high caliber competition on the defensive line, right? Not only that, but the defensive line, they can pin their ears back. We've said this before. They can pin their ears back and just go and do what they've got to do. Attack ball, see ball, attack ball, right? The offensive line has to make sure that everybody's, knows exactly what's going on, what they're doing, what the play call. I mean, they got to know
protection.
They've got to understand everything, the blocking assignments. I mean, there's so much that comes into play behind an offensive line that they have running through their two ears, right? So give it time, but I think LSU, we're going to see a lot more explosiveness, especially as the offensive line comes further along. We've already seen sparks of it and flashes of it here and there throughout fall camp. Imagine what it would be like if this offensive line is able to work together and gel and get things really together. Maybe it doesn't happen week 1 against Clemson. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it happens week 4 against Ole Miss. I don't know. That's kind of a wait and see type deal. Blake Baker also came on, Reagan, yesterday and gave us a lot of really good information, and we'll discuss this later on in the show, but seems like there's some spots where, and speaking of competition, nothing's really solidified. There's like I haven't heard one position, Reagan, not one. We've heard it on the offensive side. Braylon Moore is going to be center. Tyree Adams is going to be your left tackle. Obviously, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be QB1. Caden Durham's going to be RB1. You obviously, Aaron Anderson's going to be wide receiver 1. Bauer, Sharp, Trades Green. They're kind of neck and neck there, right there. For tight end. Tight end number 1. But you kind of know a lot of those positions. This is our guy. When we go out against Clemson on the offensive side of the ball, that guy is taking the first snap, right? He's going to be out there for the first snap. On defense, Reagan, we really haven't heard one single name that they have said has solidified their spot at defense. And a lot of people would worry about that, oh my gosh, we don't have a starter, we don't know what we're doing. But what they're doing is because they're so deep and the depth is there, they're able to just continually rotate guys to see who's at their best when they're needed the most, right? And that competition breeds success. It just does. Competition brings out the best individuals. And so, that's what we're going to see with this defense. Whenever they take the field against Clemson, it may not be perfect, but from what has happened in fall camp, you're going to see the best guys out there, right? It may not be the final 11 that you see out there at the end of the season, but from everything leading up to the Clemson game throughout fall camp, it's going to be the best 11 guys that take the field because of what was done in fall camp, right? So that's what this is all about, Reagan. That's what this is all about. Don't get too caught up. The fans shouldn't get too caught up in worrying about, well, who's going to be corner, who's going to be on both the corners and who's going to be the starting safeties. And, we keep talking about the defensive line and how many people are rotating, but who's going to actually be the starting four? Don't worry about that. Worry about, what it looks like against Clemson right now. Because that fall camp is what that is for. Fall camp is what that is made for there to be competition and for the best players to rise to the top, right? The cream of the crop. So, anyways, Reagan,
Yeah.
it's been really, really cool to see, the just the competitiveness on the defensive side of the football, and they're winning.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, they're winning because I think there's just constantly fresh legs. There's talent. There's experience. There's all the above. I mean, it just really is. And, there was a couple times in Blake Baker's press conference when, he was asked questions about like last year's team and this year's team, and he literally like would not answer a couple of the questions fully. Like there was one point, if you go back and watch, I can't remember exactly what the question was. I know it was relative to the last team. But he was like, he said a couple of things. He was like, I'm going to leave it at that. And it was like obvious that he was not trying to say something bad about last year's personnel. It was obvious. Look, the personnel was an issue last year. You lack depth.
It's been an issue for several years.
You lack talent on the first line guys. I mean,
it's really been an issue since 2020, Reagan.
Yeah, and I think it's obvious and apparent that Blake Baker is thrilled with his personnel now, and that is why he's like, there's nobody solidified. Look, okay, Zach, there's one.
Yeah.
There's one.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a safe bet. You can make a safe bet that
you're right,
and Harold Perkins are going to be out there on the first snap. I mean
but you're right in that they haven't said that.
They haven't said anything, right?
But we know Harold Perkins is going to, like, if anybody, it's Harold Perkins at the star position game one. But he literally was like, I mean, it's all up for grabs, and it really has felt like that because, I mean, you look top down. Safety, you've been seeing Halsey, you've been seeing Cooley, you've been seeing Gilbert, you've been seeing Taviano, and there's one more I'm missing there.
Spears.
You look at the linebackers, it's been the Weeks boys, it's been Keys, it's been, by the way, speaking of conversations, Tylen Singleton is a name you need to get to know. Tylen Singleton is a guy who's probably going to play this year as well. On the defensive line, it's a crap ton of guys. I mean, it's Bernard Gooden, it's Don McKinley, it's Jacobian Gilroy, it's Ahmad Bro on the edges, it's Jack Pyburn, it's Patrick Payton, it's Jamari Butler, it's Gabe Brelliford. Like, it's so many. Like,
yeah.
And at the DBs, it's not as deep as the others, but you've got four guys who are really competing. Stamps and Delane are the guys with a lot of experience that you're like, these are probably going to be your first guys. But P.J. Woodland and DJ Pickett are not far behind them. And they're in there making plays.
You also got Jakeem Jackson
with the ones.
Yeah.
Jakeem Jackson, yes.
He was a starter at Florida.
In the mix as well. Kind of got a dinged up ankle right now, I think. So, you didn't see his name really the last 2 days. But, yeah, he's in that mix as well. A lot of experience as well for him. And he's going to get in that mix too. So, it really feels like, man, I don't know if there is going to be a starter. Like and that's, you hear people say 1A, 1B all the time. I think this is legitimately 1A, 1B sometimes. Like, if Patrick Payton is coming in on the second team, like, that's a one playing on your second team.
Yeah.
Like, Jamari Butler played 3 years of Big Ten football. Starter last year. All Big Ten defensive edge. If he's coming on your second team, that's a one playing on your second team. Like, it's hard to say this is your 11 guys because there's so much more than 11 guys.
Yeah.
It's a great problem to have. It really is. And Blake Baker said this, and I thought it was really significant and maybe a little bit of coach speak, but I think it still speaks to this team, this defensive side of the ball. He said, we haven't even lost a game yet, and this has been one of my most favorite defenses to play with. I mean, they're constantly just getting after it. I am expecting, based on the way he would respond to some things, the way he would not respond to some things. You know what I'm saying? The way he responded to something and the way he would not respond in some ways, it was almost as if he was saying, hey, this is going to be a heck of a lot better talent-wise.
Yeah.
And I think he knows it. I think he's a lot more comfortable. Guys, you went from like in the 80s of defense efficiency to the I think it was like 59 last year. You jumped almost 30 spots last year, and you didn't have a very talented defense under Blake Baker. You gave him a lot of talent and a lot of experience from the portal this year. I'm really excited about what Blake Baker can do. I'm very excited about this defense. Yeah. So that camp conversations, this defense flying around. But you look on the offensive side and you're like, holy moly, there's just so many stinking weapons. It's like, man, how good can this defense be? And how sharp are they making this offense, Zach? I mean, Proverbs says, we all know it, iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. That's what that's when we say, hey guys, like, I know we're pastors and stuff, but Scripture's right on everything. Like, there's a reason Proverbs says iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. Like, it's a biblical truth that competition brings the best out in one another.
Yeah.
And that, I'm like, man, how sharp is our defense making our offense? I don't want to make too much about it.
Yeah.
But, man, it's exciting to think about. It really is.
Yeah. Reagan, another tidbit we need to mention, obviously, that has happened over this past week, which maybe we mentioned. Did we mention JT Lindsay in the last podcast?
No, we didn't.
Okay. So we need to mention JT Lindsay. Obviously, kind of some unfortunate news right now. JT Lindsay arrested this past week. Was found out that he was housing two suspects wanted for murder. From everything that his attorney has said, he had no knowledge that they were wanted for murder. And I just want to say something right now, because there is some people out there being like, well, how in the world could he not know? Right? Let's think about this, okay? They were arrested a week ago on Monday, a little over a week ago on Monday. He turned himself in 2 days later. So he saw what happened, right? Because he easily could have just been like, oh, I'm just not going to do nothing and just hope and pray that it doesn't get found out that they stayed at my dorm, right? Or however, I don't know exactly how it all went about, but, I'm just going to hope and pray that I don't get involved in this, right? But instead, he decides they've been arrested. I'm going to go turn myself in. I'm going to go let them know what's happened, right? So he goes and turns himself in, right? And listen, people can say all day long that, well, he should have known, or there's no way that he didn't know. I couldn't tell you one single person right now that's wanted for murder. Not one single person. I have no clue. Also, we live in a day and age, Reagan, where, our generation and the generation that's younger than us, they're not looking at the news. They're not. They're not following the news. They're not following, they're not reading the newspaper clippings. Like, they're not following. They're not following any of that, right? When I buy an iPhone, I delete the news app. I'm never going to use it. Ever. So, like, also, let's not forget that this kid's got an extremely super busy schedule now. Like, he's in college, going to college at LSU on the football team. Like, he's extremely busy, right?
Also not in his dorm.
Yeah, and also not in his dorm, right?
Hotel.
So could some guys that he knew, some buddies said, "Hey, can we stay in your dorm?" Yeah, man, no problem. That's fine. And he have no knowledge of it. It's absolutely plausible to think that could be the case. I'm not saying that is the case, but that could be the case, right? And so I'm not going to sit here and say, he definitely knew. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, he had no knowledge. I don't know what the truth is, but what I did want to do is come on here and say, that there is the possibility that he had no knowledge, right? And
Sure.
obviously that's what his attorney is saying, and obviously that's what they're going to use in court and fight for, to be able to, prove him innocent. And we'll see how that plays out in court, but obviously we hope the best for him. We hope the best for the situation, that can be resolved. You think about a young man. I mean, this is a kid that's 17, 18, and you certainly, never prey on the downfall of somebody's career, especially a kid that's 17 or 18.
Yeah.
You hope the best for him. You hope there's restoration there. Whether it is, through the proving of innocence in the courts, or whether it's, just later on down the line. Whatever it may be, we hope the best for that situation.
Let's also just hope it doesn't turn into what is going on with Trey Holly, where it's just delay after delay after delay, and it's like nothing ever happens. You just hope it doesn't turn into another Trey Holly situation,
which unfortunately doesn't have the best rap sheet. Like,
right. I mean, they literally were like, with the Trey Holly situation, they were like, Trey Holly came was like totally innocent, 100% innocent. Like, went to social media, was like, I'm going to prove it, my innocence. This is a misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. Totally innocent, and has held to that. And I mean, his day in court just keeps like literally got pushed back because of AC one time.
Yeah,
the air conditioning went out in the courthouse, so he didn't get to have his day in court. Like, seriously, it's sad. It really, I hate it. Like, and they were acting like Trey Holly and all the folks with the court system were like thinking this was going to be a quick process, and here we are, like a year and a half later. Like, that's what because they're acting like this thing with JT Lindsay is going to be quick. Like, I don't know if it's going to be quick. I don't trust.
We hope so. We hope so.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see.
Anyways, all right, Reagan. We probably need to take a break before we come back and start previewing DBU. Hopefully, being restored to its former glory, and the incredibly talented linebacker room as well. So when we come back, we'll get to some comments, and of course, we'll begin previewing those two position groups. We'll be back right after this.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at OneNationDoty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
Stop by to try Fulton's newest drive-through coffee shop, The Well Coffee Co. for all of your coffee needs. Iced, hot, blended, however you like your coffee, we got it. You don't like coffee? Try one of our Red Bull infusions. Maybe you want something else? Try a smoothie of different flavors as well. We'd love to see you at The Well Coffee Co. Monday through Friday right now, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Well Coffee Co., John 4:14.
Right back at it here in the Tigers Avenue show. Little position preview for you tonight, the DB room and the linebackers.
Lucian's back in here with us. We appreciate you joining us, Lucian.
What's up, big dog?
He said, I can't remember if I mentioned this last segment, but Florida State got Bama by 20 points, no doubt. Wow. Okay.
20.
I would love it. That'd be awesome. He said, great team.
Sure it's in Doak Walker, too, by the way. Pretty sure it's at Doak Walker.
Yep. I would love it. I'm down for it, Lucian. Love the prediction. Let's see. Oh, he's tagging some guys in here. Y'all need to tune in with these guys. We appreciate that, Lucian. We appreciate. Yeah. We need to get some more comments in here. Look, there's plenty of people watching. Y'all, please be sure to like and share, and obviously turn on those notifications there on YouTube. And be sure to comment, guys. We want y'all to comment. That's what we're here for. We always get y'all's comments after the commercial break. So y'all, please throw in some comments here. I know there's not many right now, but we will be sure to get them before the end of the show. So if you haven't commented yet, please do so. We'd love to hear from y'all. Doesn't matter what it's about. Go ahead and get in the comments. All right?
No doubt. Hey, I want to start with the DB, Zach, and more specifically, I really want to start with safety. I've been excited to talk about safety. I'm really excited to talk about safety. And last year, your safety play was abysmal. It was awful. It was bad. Worst position on your team by far. Yeah. You added some great talent. Not only that, Jordan Gilbert, I think healthy is going to be really solid key role player for you, a key role player for you at the safety position as well. And then you have Deshaun Spears, who's a 5-star, his stock is rising, and you got guys like AJ Halsey who are probably going to be just one and done. Cooley's going to have a couple more years. Gilbert's probably done after this year as well. So you like the mix that you have, like Gilbert and Halsey probably done at the end of this year. You got two guys in Cooley and Spears who probably going to be the guys next year. Really like the group, but all of them I think are going to contribute significantly, and I think it's going to be far more improved. And if you want my honest predictions, Zach, I think it's going to be Halsey and Cooley. And Halsey is going to be the guy. Halsey is going to be the guy. He is flashed several times at camp, more specifically for his aggressiveness, his willingness to come down, hit the hole, fill the gaps, lay the wood and jar balls out. I mean, PBUs, great coverage. Really liking what you're hearing from AJ Halsey. I mean, Zach, it's not a big surprise. AJ Halsey has played 3 years now. I'm drawing a blank on where he played at before Houston, but he played a year somewhere before Houston. Transferred to Houston last year. Last year was guys, he was first team Big 12 SEC last year, or safety last year. I say SEC. First team all Big 12 safety last year, 5 interceptions that led the Big 12. The dude is an experienced
New Mexico Lobos.
There you go. And then transferred. Oh, that's right, because Halsey was the guy who made the tackle against Jaden Daniels several years ago when we were playing New Mexico. He made that tackle in Death Valley. It was a freshman, AJ Halsey, making that tackle against Jaden Daniels. Anyways, dude was fantastic last year at Houston, and he's looking to move to LSU, bigger school, bigger program, bigger stage. And guys, I think he's really going to excel. I think his draft stock is going to be pushed higher this season. Cooley had a great freshman season at NC State. I think he's going to be – him and Gilbert are going to split time. Really liking what you're seeing from Cooley. Gilbert, I think a healthy Gilbert, he has also been far more aggressive than what you saw last year, probably due to the dislocated shoulder from last year. Obviously, right as the season ended, a lot of people may didn't know this, but played the majority of the season with that shoulder problem, had surgery immediately following the season. He's full go, full healthy. You like what you see. Deshaun Spears, don't sleep on him either. Very talented guy, also moving his second year like Cooley. All 4 of those guys are going to play significant minutes. I think Halsey's your number one guy, but I think you're going to see a rotation there. Again, that goes back to what we were saying earlier, just the depth you have. You're going to keep guys fresh. You're going to keep fresh legs in there all the time. These guys with experience, they're talented. Really excited about the safety room, Zach. I think it's going to be vastly improved.
Yeah, and it might be a situation where, you see Gilbert out there first against Clemson, just because of, more experience. But I think I agree with you that Cooley is, if not already by Clemson, probably is the guy, later on down the line throughout the season. So we'll see what happens there. The biggest thing, Reagan, that I want to see is, I want to see more turnovers, forcing more turnovers, more interceptions, more batted balls, right? It's just been so many years that we've seen just guys get toasted. and guys that
all the time
getting cooked all the time. I mean, guys just wide open, and then you're playing off of them like so far and giving them everything underneath. Like, I want to see guys go out there, lock down, and we're going to talk about this obviously with the corners, and then the safeties be there to help in coverage, because I think the opportunity is there for the cornerbacks to have a really good season where they're going to play lockdown. There's going to be some balls that are going to be tried to be forced, over the top of the corner, and the safeties can be there to make a play. So, I expect the safeties to have a big season this year, or at least a better season than it has been the last couple. It's going to be better.
It's got to be better.
How much better will it be? So, I'll tell you what, we'll get to this after we preview the cornerbacks, but I do want to ask you a question, give a little prediction regarding the DBs. Moving on to corner, Reagan, as we've already discussed, it's a lot deeper, it's a lot more talented than it has been the past few years, right? The one constant that you've had the past few years has been Ashton Stamps, right? He's back. You've got the best corner out of the portal in Mansour Delane from Virginia Tech, who, as we already have previously mentioned in the past podcast, he had 4 interceptions. Was it 4 or 6? No, it was 4. I think it's 4. Yeah, 4 interceptions last year at Virginia Tech, which was almost all the interceptions. What was it last year? LSU had 5, right? 5
6 total.
6 total interceptions, right? 6, right? That's less than half the games you played. But obviously there's guys like DJ Pickett who could potentially, overtake somebody, as the season progresses. You've got PJ Woodland, who's just playing with his hair on fire and is making plays left and right. Could he overtake somebody? Who knows? We're going to find out, right? I ultimately think that Mansour Delane is going to be the constant throughout this season. I think you could see potentially Ashton Stamps get overtaken by one of those 2 guys, whether it's PJ Woodland or DJ Pickett, because we have seen Ashton Stamps struggle in one-on-one coverage. I mean, if you go back, and I'm not trying to hate on the guy, right? But he has had struggles in coverage. Now, a lot of that can probably be helped out because of the safety room, right? But there's been times he's been beat. There's been several times throughout last year that you saw he got beat and the safety help was not there because the safety room was so bad. And it exposed him a lot, right? So, potentially maybe you have somebody like a PJ Woodland, like a DJ Pickett that overtakes Stamps. If I was to predict, who's going to be your final 2, who's going to be your best 2 cornerbacks at the end of the year, I would say it's going to be Mansour Delane and PJ Woodland with DJ Pickett right behind. I think Ashton Stamps is going to get the first crack at it because of, obviously the experience the past 3 years in this system, right? But I just think there's guys that are behind him that have a higher ceiling.
That's what I was about to say. The ceiling is the difference there.
Yeah.
Stamps has the experience and probably with another year with Corey Raymond, he's probably going to see some growth. Last year was first year with Corey Raymond. He spent an entire spring, summer, now an entire fall camp again with Corey Raymond. You hope to see that growth for Stamps with Corey Raymond as the coach. Blake Baker, second year, you're hoping you see that growth. Maybe you see it, and maybe he keeps his spot. But Zach, what you're talking about, certainly the ceiling, I think, for PJ Woodland and definitely DJ Pickett, the ceiling there is higher. So I think that's the difference there.
Yep. Moving on to linebacker, Reagan. Obviously, Harold Perkins is going to move, away from kind of that, middle linebacker position, off-ball linebacker position, to star role. If you want to call it a linebacker position, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have Harold Perkins there. You're obviously going to have Whit Weeks at one of the linebacker positions as well. The biggest question is who is the other guy, right? And I think Wes Weeks has the potential, to nab that spot before Clemson.
Yep.
But I certainly could see Tylen Singleton and Devon Keys pushing him, right? Because it's kind of a similar it's kind of a similar conversation like we had with Stamps. Like the ceiling there for those two guys is higher. It just is, right? Love Wes Weeks. I'm super pumped that he's back this season. And maybe he goes out there and he just takes the reins and rides that through the rest of the season and plays phenomenal for you. But you've got guys behind him that are just extremely talented, and Devon Keys and Tylen Singleton. And Tylen Singleton's been making a lot of noise. We already know what Devon Keys has done from the past year. So could those be two guys that push Wes Weeks? Probably so. I don't think that Whit Weeks would get overtaken. I think Whit Weeks he's talented. He's obviously the most talented linebacker you have if you're not counting Harold Perkins as a linebacker, and his motor is just absolutely insane. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna love being able to watch. Imagine this, Reagan. Imagine AJ Halsey, PJ Woodland, Whit Weeks, and Jack Pipeburn on the field at the same time. I mean, those are four guys who are and let's say this too, Bernard Gooden, right? Because those guys,
Peyton.
Yeah, I mean, their motors are just insane, right? Just high energy. Yeah. Go 110% every single play, and you're just going to love to see it. Because that's what you've seen. That's what you've seen out of those guys. So it's going to be really, really impressive to see, how this DB room progresses from last year to this year. Right. The talent you have at linebacker, obviously, with the stability you have in Whit Weeks and West, obviously being there the past 3 years. You've got some guys that have stabilized that room, and the young talent that has some high ceilings. So it's an extremely talented group, Reagan. I mean, I think everybody's gonna would say that the defensive line group. I mean, it's just hard, Reagan. I mean, out of those two groups, which do you think is better? Like, obviously, I think everybody would say that the defensive line group, and we'll talk about that next week, is probably the best group on the defensive side of the football. But you probably could argue, could you argue that the linebacker spot is a better position group right now than the DBs? Maybe. So because even though there's a lot of talent there with PJ Woodland and DJ Pickett, they still got to go up and prove it every Saturday.
Yep.
We've seen what Devon Keys can do on Saturday. We've seen what Whit Weeks can do on Saturday. We've seen what Harold Perkins can do on any given Saturday. So, I'm really excited about the linebacker group, Reagan. I know there's a lot of people talking about the defensive line group, and I think the linebacker group is kind of getting slept on a little bit, honestly, Reagan. Maybe not slept on, but overlooked.
No, I think it is.
With all probably getting overlooked
defensive line and whatnot.
There's so much talk about the defensive line, and there's so much talk about the safeties. I think we've heard the most conversation in regards to the defense has been surrounded the defensive line and the safeties. That's where you
need the most improvement.
Yeah.
That's where last year, your linebackers were solid. You need most improvement at D-line safety. So that's why it's the biggest conversation.
Correct. But we cannot sleep on this linebacker room. No. We just can't.
That's good.
And we can't sleep on the corners either. They're talented. They're both rooms are deep. So it's going to be a huge part of this year's team, because also, something that you struggled with last year was defending the run, right? You were pretty good, but then every now and then you just had that explosive play that happened. Yeah. That would be a huge game changer, right? That can't happen this year. With the guys at the safety position and with the linebackers.
Yep.
That's those guys' jobs to stop that, right? Obviously, the defensive line up front has got to be able to fill holes, right, and cover the gaps. But the safety's got to be able to run downhill and make tackles. The linebackers got to be able to move sideline to sideline and make tackles. So That's going to be a huge, huge aspect of this team is that they are going to have to be better at this year than they were last year. Will they do it is the question.
I'm going to tell you what. I'll tell you this one thing. Last year, Lenore Sellers, 75-yard touchdown run. A.J. Halsey found that hole. Lenore Sellers ain't doing what he did to Sage Ryan to A.J. Halsey. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
That one ain't going for 75 with A.J. Halsey on the field.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
13's making that tackle.
Yeah.
He ain't.
You would think so.
He ain't missing it. He ain't. No. Sage Ryan was sitting back waiting on him to get there, whiffed. A.J. Halsey ain't waiting back.
He's coming to him.
He's going to find him in the hole. I'm telling you right now. That's not happening to Halsey. Ole Miss fans, y'all got a good one in Deshaun Womack. You got a good one in Deshaun Womack, okay? I honestly hate we lost him. I think there's a lot of potential there. He was dealing with some injury, so we didn't get to see it, transferred. I get it. Telling y'all. Don't be hiving up Sage Ryan.
Who knows, Reagan? He might make the turn.
I hope the best for him. I hope he goes out there and balls. But man, oh man, that play against Lenore.
It was rough. It was rough. It was rough. For sure. All right, Reagan. Well, I think we've just about covered everything.
Yeah, we just about there. Is that what it? But I know we're in the last 2 minutes here. We have position battle. What's the biggest position battle? What's the biggest? Quickly. In your mind.
Well, and we're talking about these two specific, groups here in regards to this. So I think the biggest position battle within these two groups is probably going to be at that other linebacker spot. I think you could go with any of the three guys at the other linebacker spot opposite of Whit Weeks. You could go Wes Weeks. You could go Devon Keys, who had the experience from last year. You could go Tylen Singleton, who's been just really impressive throughout fall camp. That's probably the biggest one because you're going to need another solid guy there, Reagan. I mean, Whit Weeks can only do so much, right? He can only cover so much of the field. You're going to need another guy there that is going to be good enough to help cover one side of the field, right? And so that's a huge piece, Reagan. That's a huge piece. I think that's also where the experience is lacking a little bit there, right? Tylen Singleton doesn't really hardly have a lot of game experience, right? Devon Keys has some experience, but he doesn't have the experience that Whit Weeks does, right?
Yeah.
Wes Weeks doesn't have the experience, right? He's a 3-year guy, only played 4 games last year, right? And then the year before, he was hardly on the field, right? He did get some reps, but he wasn't on the field that much, right? So that's probably a big area for me right there. Is that other linebacker position, right? I think you could debate that the other corner spot opposite of Mansour Delane, you could debate that as well. And I understand that there's a lack of experience there too behind Ashton Stamps. But I think Ashton Stamps, like at that position, Ashton Stamps has the 3-year experience. Like he's been a starter the past 3 years at LSU, right? Wes Weeks has not been a starter, right? Devon Keys, he became a starter near the end of the season, right?
Because of West's absence.
Yeah. Tylen Singleton doesn't have that experience, right? So on the flip side, what I'm saying is at the linebacker position, at that one linebacker position, there's not a lot of experience there. At the other corner spot, you've got a guy that's been there 3 years. Right. So like the experience is there. So that's why I would probably weigh that linebacker position a little bit more heavier than that other corner spot. But you could debate it. You could debate it.
I'm going to say it's the guard, offensive line guard. That's been a topic of conversation. They're rotating. You hope it's Chester. I hope it's Chester and Thompson. But they've been saying they're rotating Chester, Thompson, Mubinga, and Eccles.
Yep.
So we'll
Yep.
we'll see in those spots as well. I mean,
Well,
whoever deals the best,
Reagan,
most productive. That's who I'm good with.
specifically talking about those two position groups. Would you say it's the linebacker spot, or would you say it's something else?
I mean, if one spot, it's the linebacker.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one spot. The on the offensive line, it's two spots, and honestly, I think Chester is going to get the one of them, and I honestly think Thompson's going to get the other one. I don't think it's a super big battle, but there's just been discussion. There's been a lot of rotation there.
yeah.
I think the most competitive spot is the other DB and linebacker, and more so the linebacker, like you were saying. So
Yeah.
those are the big.
Now here's the question, Reagan. We've been discussing defensive backs and obviously the linebackers, but defensive back wise, here's my question that I wanted to ask to wrap up this show. Let's get a prediction, Reagan. How many interceptions does LSU have this year? They had 6 last year.
I'm going to hope for 10.
Okay.
I hope for 10. I want more, but I'm hope for 10. I would like to say, obviously, I'm not saying like you get one every single game, but I would like for it to average out 1 per game. But I'm be conservative and say 10. You had Mansour Delane, who not only had 4 interceptions last year, also had 2 forced fumbles. AJ Halsey, 5 interceptions. You hope there's more.
Yeah.
Seen in practice that PJ Woodland's got some interceptions. Harold Perkins got some interceptions. I want 10. I want 10. I'm hoping there's more, but I'll say 10.
I was going to say 8, so we're kind of a little bit close there. Either way, both is better than last year. Right? When you hardly had anybody. I mean, thank goodness you had Zy Alexander, right? I mean, thank goodness you had Zy Alexander because he was responsible for what, 3? I think he was responsible for 3.
Yeah.
Maybe not 4. I know Jordan Gilbert had one. I mean, I can't remember who else had an interception last year, but I know Zy had at least 2 or 3.
Yeah,
so he was responsible for a quarter, if not half, of your interceptions last year. So I'm hoping they get 8. If they get 10, like Reagan's hoping for as well, that'd be amazing. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Carl Dunn's in here. He said LSU will block a punt or kick this season. Book it. Yeah, I mean, speaking of fall camp, Trades Green's been on the special team side of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, going and trying to block punts and kickoffs. Yeah, or not kickoffs, but field goals.
That dude is little. That dude.
Get your most lengthiest guys out there and have them go ball. Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all being in here. Tigers Avenue show with the camp conversations. Looking forward to it. Counting down. A little tidbit. Like I think Zach mentioned this briefly. I won't be here next week. I'm going to be in Turkey. So it'll be a long ways away. So Zach will have the show with Blake. Hate to be missing, but really looking forward to going on this trip. But I'll be back the next week, ready to roll. And boy, when I get back from that trip, we will be really close.
Yeah,
really close on the next show that I'm here. It will literally be it'll be game week. So, wow, I can't believe it. That's insane to say. Next time we're having a show, it's gonna be game week. Well, we have a show together, obviously. Anyways, looking forward to it. We're counting it down. It's getting really, really close, y'all. August 12th already. August 30th is game number 1. Clemson, LSU in Clemson. It's going to be a big one. Hopefully things continue to progress here in fall camp and everybody stays healthy. We'll talk about it here in the Tigers Avenue show. As always, we'll see you next time. Foster here, take us out. Peace.
Who that five star?